Hello, welcome back to my channel. So this is my fourth video. I'm very proud of myself on how consistent I've been. So I'm actually doing a race this weekend, which is very exciting. It feels like I haven't done a race in forever, which in reality I did Oceanside 70.3, which was April 1st or whatever, I think. So it's been like almost 3 months, that's a long time, okay? Anyway, so that is the San Diego International Distance Triathlon, which is basically an Olympic distance, but worse because the swim and the bike are both shorter and the run is the same. So they're shortening the two things that I'm good at and then leaving the run the same. So normal Olympic is a 1 mile swim, and this race is a 1,000-meter swim. And then the bike is usually 40K, and this one it's only 30K. So whatever, it'll be fun. I did this one last year, and last year I was bib number 2. This year I'm bib number 1, and last year I was the only pro woman, and there was one pro man, and he was bib number 1. So I'm starting to think that I might be the only pro in general at all racing this weekend, which is kind of fun, but also kind of sucks because it's I don't get to race against anyone because I think at 6:40, I think that's how it was last year. And then the age groupers start at 7. And so I'll probably just be by myself for most of it until the run when people start catching me. But anyway, I'll probably try to vlog the race, or at least the day before the race, so you can see what I eat and what I do the day before a race. If I remember to film, which I probably won't. So I won't, don't listen to me, okay? So today I wanted to talk a little bit about advice for beginner triathletes. That has to be the #1 question I get asked on Instagram. I get tons of DMs from people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm doing my first triathlon this year. I have no idea what I'm doing. What's your biggest piece of advice? And that is a very loaded question. There's a lot that goes into a triathlon. So, there's just a lot of advice and I don't know where to start. But in this video, I'm gonna try to break it down into the top things that I think are most important in a race. And I guess we'll go from there. Okay, so my #1 piece of advice, actually, I don't know if it's #1, it's top 3, is practice your nutrition before race day. I cannot stress this enough. You don't want to go into a race and that's the first time you've ever tried this brand of gels that you got at the expo for free the day before. And then you find out that it makes you shit yourself on the run. You don't know what can happen, okay? Nutrition is it's a fine art. It's hard to find the right balance of what your body needs. So that's why you practice. So next time you're out on a long bike ride, or if you're doing a brick workout, try different types of nutrition. It could be liquid, it could be solid, whatever, just to see what feels good for you, what gives you the energy you need, what gives your muscles what they crave, and what makes you not shit your pants, okay? So for me, I've been doing triathlons for 7 years now, and it's still a work in progress. But I think I'm starting to figure this out. And I always get questions too of people being like, what's your nutrition plan during a race? And I can tell you that, but again, it's very specific to you as a person. So for example, I'm a very salty sweater. I lose so much salt when I sweat. I will be crusty when I finish a race. And I'm losing so much sodium. So I have to replace that sodium by drinking or eating things with a lot of sodium in them. And last year I was struggling a lot in 2 of my 70.3s. I got really bad quad cramps on the run. And I wasn't taking in enough salt on the bike. And that's as simple as that. Another thing I realized, I was always eating gels on the bike, because gels are so easy. You don't really have to think about it. You don't have to chew. You just gulp it down. And the texture's a little rough, but that's just what I was doing. And through practicing my nutrition, I realized that gels aren't necessarily the right thing for me. They kind of make my stomach hurt. When I get to the run, I always just get stomach cramps, just feel a little bloated and gross. And last year beginning of this year, I started trying honey stinger waffles. I just thought maybe solid food might be better for me, especially with the sodium issues, everything like that. But yes, I ate honey stinger waffles on the bike in Oceanside. I also had some chews, and by the time I got on the run, I felt amazing. I also started taking salt pills on the run. So I probably took a pill there's like 10, I think, in the little pack, and I took like 5 of them throughout the run, and they helped me so much. So like, there's an example right there. It's just through practicing and finding out what was right for me, I was able to have like a really good race at Oceanside this year. Okay, so my next big piece of advice is do your brick workouts. Even if you don't have a coach, just do brick workouts. Whenever you can throw them in, don't do them too much. You don't have to do them every day, but like once a week maybe. If you don't know what a brick workout is, it's where you either swim and then bike right after, or bike and run right after. And let me tell you, the first triathlon I ever did, so I was training for a 70.3 at the end of July, but I was doing my first triathlon, which is Olympic distance, like middle of June. So I didn't have that much time in between the 2 races. And I had never done a brick workout before the Olympic distance. And so I remember I got onto the run and I felt awful. Like my legs felt like jello. My heart rate was super elevated. And I was like, why am I dying right now? I had literally suffered for all 6 miles. And I was like, how the hell am I supposed to run 13 miles in like 6 weeks when I do my half Ironman? But in that time between the 2 races, I did some brick workouts. And let me tell you, it was great. By the time I got to the 70.3, I did great. Like for a first time, I think my time was like 6 hours and 2 minutes. Felt pretty good on the run, and I don't know, but it's just, it's just like, you can't go wrong with practicing, It's like, you have to get your body used to that feeling, especially the bike to run, because it's a weird feeling. Your legs are like, it's weird, but like I said, just throw in like, maybe like 1 every week or 2, and, just to practice it. Okay, so the other thing that you should practice before race day is transitions. So I actually made an Instagram reel about this, but it was a while ago, so it might be kind of hard to find on my page. But I do want to make a YouTube video, like going into the details about transition, like how to set it up, what to bring, everything like that. So I'm not going to dive into the details right now, but I just want to say, practice it. Set up a a transition area in your home and just practice. You can even do it outside. I practice like putting on your like helmet and your cycling shoes as fast as you can, and then coming in off the bike and then switching to your running shoes, and just like practice the motions. It's not like, transition really isn't like that hard, but the more you do it, the more you kind of get the hang of like what your next step is, so you don't get there and like panic, like, oh my God, what do I need? What do I do? It's kind of like muscle memory. So yeah, that's what I do. I also, I don't do this, but if you're interested, people do the flying mount, which is where their shoes are clipped into their bike so that it's faster in transition. You just like hop on your bike and then you get your like feet into your shoes while you're riding. I think that's like better for a shorter distance where time really matters. But I am terrified to do that. I don't do that myself. So, but if that is something that you want to do, I would certainly recommend practicing that before race day too. Okay, my last piece of advice is to have fun. And I know that's cliche, and that sounds like a cop-out for advice, but I think a lot of us forget that, okay? Including myself, because last year I had 2 races, back-to-back big races that I did very poorly at. The first one was Santa Cruz 70.3. Just had a terrible day. I was cramping on the run. I was able to like walk run, but I was like, I wanted to quit so bad. I just was like, this is stupid. I want to finish the race. Like, this is so embarrassing. My first like big race as a pro. Everyone's judging me. People that are at home tracking me are probably like, oh my God, she's so slow. I don't know. All this stuff, like mainly worry about what other people think, which is stupid because nobody cares but you. You know what I mean? Like, my coach didn't care. My coach at the time, he didn't care. My mom didn't care how I did. Like, the people tracking me at home, they probably didn't care. When I'm tracking someone in a race and they're having a bad race, the first thing I think is, oh no, I hope they're okay. Like, something's wrong. And then number 2 is I forget that it ever happened. The next day, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, so-and-so did so bad yesterday. And if someone is thinking that, that's crazy, okay? Listen, that's embarrassing for them. Nobody cares how your race went but you. And I understand that we all have big goals and we all want to PR every race. I get that, but that's just not how not how it goes. And the more you race, the more bad races that you're, bound to have, just statistically. So then I did Indian Wells in December, another 70.3, another bad day. The bike, it's mostly when I get to the run, because I just don't like the run. But this time, it's the same thing. I have cramping issues, just like did not want to be there. And then I decided to have fun instead. And so I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to PR. I know I'm not having a good race, but like I was seeing friends out there who were racing, people cheering, just high-fiving people, like getting excited at the aid stations. And like, my time, I don't even remember what my time was that day. I didn't do my best, but all I do is I look back on that race, and instead of thinking, oh my God, what a terrible day, I think, oh yeah, it was a good course. I'll probably do it again this year. But when I think back to Santa Cruz, I think I will never fucking do that course again in my entire life. I'm like scarred from it. But that's not the right way to think, okay? So I'll be back at Santa Cruz at one point. I'll redeem myself. But anyway, you're paying money for this, and it's up for 99.8% of us. It's just a hobby. We're not getting paid. I understand if you're a pro who's getting paid that this is much more serious. But for most of us, it's just a hobby, and it's like, hobbies should be fun, So that's the way I like to look at it. Even if you're having a bad day, try to remember to smile, unless you're, horribly dying or like injured or something. I can understand why you may not be having fun, but anyway, those are my biggest pieces of advice for a beginner triathlete. Like I said, I do want to do a transition video soon. That might be my coming up. And hopefully I remember to vlog Saturday, the day before my race / the race, if I remember. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.